All right, guys, so welcome back to my channel, Bundles Hair CA. Hello to all the Fantasias, to all the Bundles baddies. Before I get into this video, I just want to let you guys know how much fun I've had getting to know everyone who has joined me on this channel. All of my subscribers on Bundles Hair CA are so awesome. They have reached out to me personally and shared so much anecdotes of what they have liked about my videos and given me so many video concepts. And you guys, I love the feedback. So guys, all of my contact info, all of my social media is in my description for this video, and I would love to connect with you guys personally and connect with all my Fantasias and all of my Bundles baddies. So you guys, I'm having a lot of fun with y'all, and I really appreciate the support. I appreciate the people who are like really supporting me personally, and I am going to continue creating content for you guys. So yeah, anyways, today I have a story time. This is some of my most requested content. Everybody loves the story times. So today I'm going to share with you guys my absolute biggest regret story time I dropped out of college. So I'm going to share the story of my college experience and what it was like dropping out of college at the age of 19 and deciding to go on a completely different path in my career and how it went. So I gotta start with the backstory for you guys. So when I was 17, 18 years old, I was a grade 12 student at Sandalwoods Heights Secondary School in Brampton, Ontario. That school was like any other school in Brampton. There was a lot of mischief. There was a lot of people who were like trying to be hustlers and trying to be gangsters. But I mean, there was also a lot of smart kids and a focus on education. I had a great time at that school. But when it came to my grades, I was the kind of kid who liked to have a lot of fun with my friends. I was more interested in smoking and drinking, but I was always an exceptionally gifted student, but specifically when it came to reading and writing. Reading and writing has always been my talent. So when I was in grade 12, I was pretty much known for writing like incredible essays and speaking very eloquently and engaging very eloquently in debates. So when it came to any courses that required strong reading and writing skills, I was getting super high grades. But of course, I was only doing mediocre in courses like math and science. So a lot of people would say, okay, well, yeah, reading and writing, you're not going anywhere with that. But based on that, I wanted to get into a career that required an arts degree or like a literature or humanities degree. So those are the kind of programs I ended up applying for in college. My dream and my goal at the time was to become a lawyer. I wanted to become a lawyer. I wasn't sure what kind of lawyer I wanted to be, but I was kind of thinking perhaps criminal defense, maybe corporate law, something along the lines of that. But I definitely wanted to be a lawyer, and that had been my dream throughout my entire childhood. So grade 12 came around. I was getting like 80s, 90s, and up in all of my courses because I was mostly taking courses like creative writing, English, art, what else, like cooking studies, family studies, stuff like that. I was taking a science course, I believe, at that time. Not sure what kind of science course it was. I was taking like probably a business course or something like that, but I definitely did not have a math course on my roster because I was not good at math. So I opted out of the electory math programs after grade 11 when you no longer had to take advanced math like calculus or algebra or whatever kind of math they were teaching. So I was not doing a math program. I was mostly doing English-based programs and more creative programs and like business programs. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that as a background of what kind of courses I was doing. But I was getting great grades. Yeah, but and I was definitely known as one of the best writers, if not the best writer in my entire grade, and that had been consistent since I was in kindergarten. Okay, so I had never, before grade 12, I had never really had the discussion about college. I grew up in foster care, and the only discussions that we really had about college and university were that if I did go to college or university, that would be completely funded by the Children's Aid Society of Toronto, and they would be covering my college fees and expenses through a scholarship that every foster child was essentially eligible for, as long as they got into a university or college program. So yeah, that was already available to me, and I already kind of knew about that, but I had never considered college, what I really wanted to study in college, what college would be like, or kind of like what college would be like for me. I had never really thought about it. I hadn't really even thought much past high school, to be honest. But college, when it started coming up in class in grade 12, and we started discussing like, oh, at this point you have to apply for college and think about the colleges that you want to apply for, it started kind of becoming exciting for me, because I thought of it as being a new chapter in my life, where I would get to go to school, where I would get to learn new things that I've never learned before, and I would get to get advanced education, because I always loved learning and I always loved learning new things. So that's how that went. But other than that, I don't know. College was not a big part of my life. As far as I know, no one in my immediate family, such as my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, even my other sister, as far as I know, have ever been to college or university. So I would have been the first person in my immediate family who attended college or university. However, I'm sure a lot of my aunts and uncles and my grandmother and my godmom and potentially my godfather have also been to college and university, but it wasn't really a big part of my growing up. It wasn't something that was like ingrained in me as a child, that I would be end up going into a college or university program. So anyways, as it started coming around, I started looking at colleges, and I was like, okay, where am I gonna apply? And I wanted to kind of apply to some place that, I don't know, sounded pretty fun to me, but I never really took into consideration how any of these college or university programs would fit into the lifestyle that I had envisioned for myself. But I just looked at university and college programs that seemed to be like a pretty good match for what I wanted to do. So I applied to places like Guelph, Western University, McMaster University, and I can't even remember what else. All of these colleges are literally at least 5 to 6 hours away from where I currently lived in Brampton. So they were very far from home. And on top of that, all of these colleges and universities were more in like slow, lazy, rural towns that were mostly college towns and didn't have much else going on for them. So they were kind of more of a small town feel. And growing up in Brampton, I kind of had a little, even though Brampton is a small town, it is more of like a city urban experience. And these colleges that I applied to were very much rural. So all of these colleges sounded pretty cool. I applied to them, and a little bit of time passed, and I was sitting in one of my courses. I think it was like a marketing or like a financial planning course, and I was sitting there with a close friend, and we had all got our like midterm grades back. So I looked at my midterm grades and I saw my grades, and I was freaking out. I told my friend, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna get into college or university. What am I gonna do? Like, I'm not smart enough to get into college or university, and I don't think I'm gonna make it in life, and nothing is gonna happen for me. I was literally freaking out. Even though I had never really considered college or university before, when I started applying, I started kind of realizing just how important it probably was to my future. And I was really thinking like I was not gonna make it into college or university, because again, I was only taking arts courses, and I applied to like arts programs and humanities programs, but but the thing is, like, I guess I wanted to do that, and then after graduating with a bachelor's degree in like humanities and like doing courses like philosophy, political science, and all of that, I would go to law school and pursue a law degree. That was kind of my vision and where I decided to head in life. But a lot of people were like, girl, you applied for an arts degree, you're never gonna get a fucking job. And guys, I don't think that's completely true. There are plenty of arts programs you can do that you can potentially get a job. I mean, journalism, they say it's dead, but I mean, there's also online journalism. If you're really good at what you do, getting an arts degree is not a death sentence for you, because you can potentially write a book, you know. If you're really good at writing, you could write a book. There's also what is it called, like televised journalism that you can do, like TV journalism, like being a news reporter. That's something I thought about doing. So things like that were things that I had truly considered. And if you're really talented, I mean, you can definitely get your degree in an arts program and pursue a career in the arts, but or the humanities. It's not impossible. So I don't know, I wasn't even though a lot of people said that it's like a dead end career for you, and most of the people, being traditional South Asian kids in my high school, were pressured into getting careers in math, science, and things that engineering and things that would be considered profitable, including the African kids in my school. They were all taking business or science or all of those things. They steered real clear of the arts and humanities because they thought that wasn't going to be a good paying job. But I had that vision and I had that passion, and I was already good at the arts, and that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to study humanities because that's what interested me. But most people said you're going nowhere. But I mean, I was willing to try. I had a vision for myself. But anyways, yeah, so as soon as I told my friend, yo, I don't think I'm gonna get into college or university with my grades, I went online. I was searching through my emails because I had to look at something that I had stored in my emails for my class. And what did I see but an early acceptance offer to McMaster University? Now, if you guys are not familiar with McMaster University in Canada, it is definitely one of the better schools in Canada. So I was super shocked that I even got into that school whatsoever. I was like, wow, I was puzzled, and I was like, oh my God, like I cannot believe that I actually just got into McMaster University. And I literally thought I would never get into college at all. So I don't know, it was like literally a miracle that it literally happened right at that moment. It was such a coincidence, and I was so happy. I went home and I told my foster mom, I was like, you know what, I got into university, and I got into McMaster University, and they were all like, congratulations, that's really good for you, I'm happy that you got into university. And a lot of my friends, me being one of the first people out of all of my classmates to receive an actual offer of acceptance, were like pretty like proud and impressed that I had ended up getting into McMaster. Now, we did go to visit the school. McMaster was a nice school. It's in Hamilton, Ontario. Um, it's really a college town. It's really a university town. Like a lot of the uh, homes in Hamilton, Ontario are like student housing or like sorority or frat houses in Canada. So, I mean, that's mostly the culture there. Outside of that culture, once you get into downtown Hamilton, it is kind of known for being a place that is full of like junkies and drug users of like methamphetamine and stuff like that. So it's kind of like very junky-ish, but I mean, the college is super classy itself. And it is a beautiful campus. It's definitely one of the smaller campuses. I mean, when I went to McMaster University, I thought that campus was super huge until I got much older, and then I visited Western University. And I had visited Western University well before, like when I applied to it in high school, but I didn't even realize just how large that actual campus is until I had to walk that campus at my big age of 28. And I'm like, nah, this campus is like a 20-minute walk across. Like, how are people getting to their classes? I'm fucking confused, because this campus is like 20 minutes to walk across. Like, it is not a small campus. Like, you could spend all 30 minutes walking across that campus. It's huge. So I don't know, McMaster is definitely one of the smaller campuses, and it's kind of impressive, but it's definitely not the most impressive university structurally. Anyways, all of this happened, and I ended up finding out that one of my other friends, my close friends, ended up applying to that same university and getting into that university. So we were kind of bound to go to university together. And that was kind of cool. I mean, whatever. So I don't know, leading up to university, I was kind of like thinking I was gonna make so much friends and my life was gonna be changed and I was gonna meet people who I would end up spending like the rest of my life with, as well as my high school friends who I would also keep in touch with, and that we would kind of be really close forever, and we would all like always share that bond and everything like that. And I just thought university was gonna be a great time because I was a people person at that point and I literally loved meeting people. And I loved getting to know new people. And I was just excited to meet different kinds of people that were different from the people that I was used to by living in Brampton, Ontario, which is a small town with kind of just like one kind of person and one culture. Um, so yeah, anyways, comes time to, so here is the first thing that pretty much led to me ended up dropping out of this this college program that I got into. So our high school graduation came around. Graduation, I was more concerned about prom. Graduation was kind of like, you know, it was exciting, but I don't know, like it wasn't something where I had really put my focus on. But anyways, I ended up inviting a few people to my graduation. I invited my biological mother, I invited my foster mom, I invited my biological sister, and I invited my social worker. They were all people that I considered myself really close to, and I really wanted them to be there at my biggest moment. Come to the day of graduation and sending out all these invitations for people to come to my graduation, not one person accepted that invitation and showed up. So I didn't go to my high school graduation. I completely skipped it because I was way too embarrassed to go to graduation and be the only person there as a foster kid, pretty much outing myself as a foster child, and no one else knew that I was in foster care. It was a secret that I had kept through my entire childhood. I didn't tell not one person that I was in foster care, not even my closest friends. So I was too embarrassed to show up there and be the only person walking across that stage and not having not even one person cheer for them. So I didn't go to my high school graduation, and that was heartbreaking to me that I didn't have that support there. In going to college, especially being the first person in my immediate family. This would have been the first graduation that my mother, the first high school graduation that my mother even went to, because my older sister actually got her GED. So this would have been the first high school graduation that my mother even went to. This would have been her first child that had even gone into college. So the fact that like my immediate family decided to skip it kind of broke my heart. But anyways, so I want to explain to you how foster care works. When you turn 18, you are no longer a foster child. They put you out into the world and they make you start a life by yourself at the age of 18. Most people in family homes are not necessarily expected to move out when they turn 18. Maybe they're expected to contribute to rent a bit, but they're not expected to find their own place to live at the age of 18. You know what I mean? But that was what my fate was. Me and my foster mom did not have a close bond, and she expected me to move out when I was 18 years old and find my own place. So I found this little bachelor apartment in Brampton where I was living to go and live by myself. It was like really tiny. There was room for a bed, there was a nice kitchen and modern bathroom. On my old channel, I have a couple of videos in that apartment, but yeah, that's what I had for myself, just a little bachelor apartment at the age of 18. I was paying about like $600 a month. You're probably wondering, how did you afford that? Because you did not have a job. Yeah, I didn't have a job in high school, like a part-time job or anything like that. Maybe it's something, if I had really understood what being an adult after foster care was like, I would probably considered getting a part-time job when I was a teen, but I don't know how I would have been able to keep up with schools, because when I was a student in high school, even though I got like 80s and 90s in my courses, I would skip a lot of assignments. I was not a hard worker, and I was not like a disciplined worker. I broke a lot of rules. I came to class high all the time. I was getting stoned after school. I was going out with my friends drinking. That was my main priority, not finishing my schoolwork. So I could write these amazing essays in like 1 hour. So I would go home, I would look at what I had due, I would look how much that project was worth, and I would quickly write up an essay that was like truly like amazing in like 1 hour, and submit that and get good grades on that. But I was not like really putting a lot of time and effort into my schoolwork. I was literally doing the bare minimum that I could and half-assing everything, and just like using really good language to get people to be like, oh, this is a really good essay, you know what I mean? I was even writing essays for other students in my grade, and just like changing the wording a little bit so it sounds like it was more made for them, or kind of dumbing it down a bit so it sounds more like they would have wrote it, not that they miraculously had this amazing essay out of nowhere. So I was even writing other kids' essays and projects for them, and they would like either pay me some money or they would just give me weed and I would do that. But yeah, I was not like a really great student by any means, you know what I mean? I was like half-assing everything. But anyways, um yeah, so yeah, I started living on my own when I was at the age of 18. That's when I kind of noticed shit with my friends changing. In high school, like my friends, I considered them like almost sisters to me. I didn't have close family. I lived with my biological sister and I loved her so much, but my friends were like my extended family to me. I had so much love for them, but as soon as I moved out in at the age of 18, I feel like there was kind of a lot of resentment and jealousy, because a lot of them were living at home and they saw this lifestyle as being very free and very um flamboyant and luxurious in comparison to how they were living. And so a lot of them would didn't even bother visiting me at my place, and didn't really, they just didn't come check for me after I moved out on my own, you know what I mean? So our relationships started changing from that point, and my friends were really a big part of my life. If you're wondering how I was able to pay for to live on my own, child, the AS gave you about like $950 up to $1,000 per month, plus like a mutual fund of like $2,000 that you could put away and earn a bit of cash on. But yeah, like I said, had I known just how hard it is to really take care of yourself as an adult with no support system and no family, not really being in touch with my biological family and having that support from anyone in my family, not my aunts, not my uncles, not my mom, not my dad, not anyone. If I had known that, I would have probably considered getting a job as a teen, but I just don't know how that would have affected my grades, because that is just like a really busy work schedule. But realistically, I needed the money in order to survive at the age of 18. But anyways, it seemed like a lot of money, that little $1,000 I was getting. It seemed like a lot of money to me at the time. And I was really happy to be getting $1,000 per month at the age of 18. It seemed like seriously a lot of money to me. So yeah, after that, I ended up moving to college in that September after high school. I was so excited. I was so excited. We arrived on campus. Everyone was getting there, taking out their things. My social worker drove me to campus and dropped me off with all of my things. She was really the only person I had, and she was basically like my family. And she dropped me off with all my things to college. She had also taken her, I don't know, I don't know, she had taken like her master's or something at McMaster's University. So she dropped me off there with all my stuff. I get into my college dorm. I'm like sharing with like four other people in an all girls residence. Like, due to my grades, I got one of the shittiest residences because you had to get really high grades to get into like the best residences, and that really affects your college experience because you mostly make friends with people in your own residence. And so like making friends is a really big part of college and who you network with, and really who you meet is such a big part. So I got into one of the shittiest residences. I got into, I forget what it is called. Forget what it's called, but it was an all girls residence. So there was no boys in my residence. And I was sharing a room with like four other people. And they were all like not girls like me. Like they wouldn't have been like the cool kids in high school. They were all very like down to earth, humble, modest girls, like really grades oriented, really school focused. Meanwhile, I was more of a party girl. And so I just kind of moved into the dorm, and I don't know, it was like a regular dorm, like a bed and a desk and a closet. Literally, I can't even remember if there was a laundry room or how I ended up doing my laundry. Like, where was the laundry room? Now coming to consider it, like, I just don't know how I even survived in that dorm whatsoever. But yeah, it was weird being a black girl in college. Like, I had to straighten my hair, and if you guys know, like, straightening hair makes like a burning smell. That shit stinks. Like, it was just weird. It was kind of uncomfortable, but I ended up becoming friends with the girls in my dorm too, in my residence, and I went out with them occasionally and stuff like that. So I don't know, I ended up getting to know these girls, and I've never been the kind of person who like chooses my friends based on how cool they are or how they look. I get along with everybody. So I'm just a social person. Like, I make friends with everyone. So I don't care about who I hang out with. But yeah. So yeah, so I arrive at college, my social worker drops off, leaves me there, and it is frosh week. It is fucking frosh week. And so I start going out to frosh events. I end up seeing my friend at college there at university. She's going out to frosh events, but we're all split up like based on like our programs that we're in. And we're all split up based on like what dorms we're in. So like we weren't really together during frosh week, just to kind of get to know like other people, right? And yeah, so I ended up meeting this girl who was like a petite brown skinned girl just like me. She had natural curly hair, she was short, she was very 41020 friendly, just like me. We both loved weed, and she was in actually my residence. So I'm like, oh my god, this girl's gonna be my dog. Like, we're like twins. Like, honestly, I looked at her, I'm like, wow, this girl could literally be my sister or my twin because we look and act just alike. She was a Leo, I was an Aries. We were both like lit as fuck. We go into the forest to go smoke and everything, go smoke some weed, and she literally put on Work Remix by ASAP Ferg, which at the time was my favorite song, and everyone who was my close friend knew like that was my fucking jam. Like, whenever I heard that song, I would go the fuck off, and we both were like turning up, getting lit as fuck to that song. I'm like, this girl's gonna be my dog for real. So anyways, I was kind of like talking to her, and we're all doing frosh week activities. Can't even remember what most of them were, but they were all kind of like group games to kind of get to know random people. So yeah, I was just talking to everyone, and I ended up becoming super frosh, whatever that means, for the humanities program. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but yeah, anyways, they elected me super frosh. I think it's because I was the only person who could twerk. I think there was a dance competition or something like that. So that's what I was doing, and yeah, I ended up being super frosh or whatever. So after that, like, we finally get to the end of frosh week, and they start letting us kind of like hang out with people who are not in our residence and who are not in our program. So I finally end up linking up with my friend from high school, who was my close friend, and we're sitting there, and the girl from my residence is kind of looking at me like, why are you sitting with that girl? Like, why aren't you sitting with me? Like, come over here. And I'm like, nah, come over here, like meet my friends, because my friend from high school had already made other friends in her residence. She was already sitting with a couple girls, and I wanted that girl from my residence to come and chill with us too, you know what I mean? But I guess she was black, I was black, and she didn't really want to hang out with people who were not black, you know? She was one of the few people at that school who mostly hung around with black people, black men, black girls. She met all the black people in that school. So there was kind of like a black crowd, and I wasn't necessarily a part of that crowd. So I guess she just didn't really want to hang out with people who were like not the same as her. So I guess from there it was like kind of whatever, but I still talked to that girl or whatever. But yeah, I started hanging out with my friend and the friends she had made in her dorm, and yeah, it was cool. So after that, there started being parties after the Frosh Week activities. So we started looking for parties at like the frat houses and like the student housing around the school and shit like that, where people were just basically getting drunk, listening to music, not getting the cops called on them, but just having pretty fun, wild, crammed parties. And yeah, you're probably wondering, like, we were just like regular looking girls at that school. When I first got into university, I did not have weave, I did not have a beat face, I was wearing my natural hair and different natural hairstyles. I always had a sense of fashion and everything like that. But yeah, I consider myself a cute girl at that time, but there was definitely different girls. Like there was like certain white girls who we tried to talk to and be like, hi, what's your name, like just to get to know random people, and they were all like kind of like brushing us off because they didn't want to hang out with colored girls, or you know, girls who they didn't consider as pretty as them. Like it got very cliquey, and people wanted to hang out with like hot girls, or like just be in a all hot girls group, or like just be in a group of like people who just did drugs and shit like that, or just like a white girls group. Like we were kind of like outcast in that school. Like one girl was like, come on, I might just insert the name Becky because I can't remember the white girl's name, but she's like, come on Becky, we're gonna go hang out with the football guys tonight. Because I guess they just wanted to be those kind of girls who were hanging out with the football guys because they found football players to be the cool kids at university. But there was no cool kids at university. You just hang out with who you hang out with. So but these girls, like, they wanted to hang out with football players and stuff like that and kind of get a sort of reputation and all that. So I don't know, it got very cliquey very fast. And I kind of noticed that, but like whatever. um but yeah, as college went on, we ended up getting our courses. And I looked at my courses. I was taking French, Latin. I thought knowing Latin would help me to understand like legal language a lot better, just like kind of knowing Latin words. So I decided to take Latin. I decided to take French because I wanted to be bilingual in Canada, as Canada is a French and English country. And I took like political philosophy, political science, um what else did I take? Like stuff like that, like arts programs, you know, like stuff like, I think I took women's science, women's literature, shit like that. And even the people like who are doing like business degrees and stuff like that, they still had to take political science. They still had to take like a few arts courses, like women's history and shit like that. So those are the kind of courses I was taking. And being someone who loves to learn, like I really, really, really wanted to learn about all of these things, like feminism topics. I wanted to learn Latin. I wanted to learn political science. I wanted to learn philosophy. Like I really wanted to learn this kind of stuff. But yeah, so we ended up getting our course list, and I was pretty excited by my courses and everything. And I thought, okay, this seems doable. You know, I can do this. Um, but yeah. So, you know, courses come around, our classes start. I end up going to my first classes, and they start giving us a book, like some like small book about like philosophy or political science, and we had to write an essay on that. And that was one of um my first projects that I had to do for school. We had like a couple group projects we had to do. I was taking a general humanities program, and what I basically had to do was like I had to get a certain grade to get into the second year program, which was justice, political philosophy, and law. So it was essentially more like, while first year was general humanities, second year was more like law focused and philosophy and political science focused. So I was trying to get into the law program that they had for second year at McMaster University. So yeah, I just started doing my courses. For Latin, we had to get all our books, all these big ass textbooks. The textbooks were really straightforward. They had a lot of great information in them. Um, like Latin, for Latin, they literally just gave us a list of like words, and it was like agricola, agricoli, agricole, whatever, like just different variations of the same words over and over again. There's literally like hundreds and hundreds of words to learn. It's completely dead language, but there's like hundreds of words to learn, and they would just give us these cue cards for us to practice all the different ways of saying the same word over and over again on our own every night. So we'd have to go after class, after them giving us all the list of words we have to learn and them explaining to us what it meant, we had to go back to um after class, study our cue cards of all these words and try to rememorize all the like different variations of one word in Latin. So that's what I was doing, and I had to do the exact same thing for French, where they would just kind of explain to us what shit meant, and then we had to go after school and just practice all our words, practice the feminine and masculine. um and for what else did I take? Like philosophy and political science, we had to read these little books and write essays. So I ended up writing my first essay, and I think I got a good grade on that actually. And you know, my professor for that class ended up saying like good job to me on my way out of class. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And I had a really good laptop that I got from Children's Aid. They gave us like a bursary for, or like a grant for a free laptop. So I ended up choosing the HP Envy, which was a touchscreen laptop. It was very easy to use. I loved that laptop. I love being able to use all the different apps, able to do things on a touchscreen. Love that computer. And so I was having and I had to use like the money that we ended up getting, I ended up getting from my scholarship, um from my scholarship to pay for my books and all that shit. So yeah, I was just using the money bit by bit on like whatever I felt I needed. I got the meal program because I wasn't about to not be eating in college, so I got a decent meal program, and the food was good. College food is good. It's cooked every morning, all kinds of different food. They had like a vegan or vegetarian restaurant I would regularly eat at. There was like boba. I tried boba for the first time. They had this like Chinese fusion restaurant and everything. So yeah, it was cool. But I was just so excited by meeting new people that I wasn't really like motivated to do my studies. Like I just didn't understand how hard university would be, and I didn't understand like how much work I should be putting into my studying. So after class, me and my small group of friends would all meet at the library. We would all sit at a table, and we would all kind of practice our work studying together at that table, making a little bit of conversation, you know, talking about boys, talking about whatever. And it was all good. But yeah, I ended up saying to them one day, just kind of casually joking, like, I'm so glad we meet at the library to study every day, because if we didn't meet at the library to study every day, I wouldn't even bother studying. I just like talking to you guys and making friends. Okay, that was the beginning of the end for me. After that day, the girls who I was studying with every single day, um, never met me at the library ever again. They said to me the next day, oh, we just want to study in our dorms from now on, so we're not going to meet at the library anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started studying at the library by myself or studying in my dorm alone. And it was kind of hard for me to stay focused on studying, especially when like we weren't really being taught the languages I was learning. It was more like you just practicing on your own. So you really had to be motivated to practice and memorize all the different languages, and it was kind of more self-taught. I know it sounds like a really easy program, but just memorizing everything was so hard for me. Like, I have a good memory, but just grasping language, it was like pretty hard for me, and I was having a really hard time being focused on studying. And so at that point, when I stopped meeting my friends every single day at the library to study, I had very little to no social interaction. It was just quiet. Like, no one would talk to me. Like, the girl who I had originally met in my residence, the black girl, she would sometimes invite me over to hang out at this guy she had met, I guess her boyfriend's house. We would sometimes hang out there with like a bunch of black guys who were like really educated, getting their college degrees, still smoked weed and all of that, and we would engage in like friendly debates and just discuss stuff. But I don't know, after a while she just kind of stopped inviting me, so I like barely got to talk to anyone, and I was mostly alone all the time. I mean, for the first month when I was just alone all the time, it was like it got super lonely, just not talking to anyone. And in college, everyone is focused on their studies and everyone is so busy. So yes, you do go out to parties, yes, you do meet with your friends, yes, you do drink, yes, you do smoke, but you go for long periods of time without really having a lot of without spending time with your friends if you're not like studying together or doing those kind of things together. So I was going, and your classes schedules are different, so I was going and eating meals alone, you know, and I was essentially doing everything alone in college and university. So yeah, from that point on, I developed a depression. I had experienced depression before. Let me talk about my history of mental illness, not really getting into the whole mental illness thing. When I was a kid, I was considered by most of the adults around me and by myself as being someone who was exceptionally mentally stable and exceptionally well adjusted for the circumstances that she was under. I had to go to a child psychologist from time to time and regularly check in with a doctor because of being in CAS. We had regular doctor visits at the CAS office, and they had a psychologist through the CAS program that I had to go through. And every time the psychologist would put me under like that test where they say, does this look like a butterfly to you? Does this look like a bat to you? And they ask you all these personal questions and do all these testing on children. I would always answer them with the absolutely most normal response I could think of. Like if they said, does this look like a butterfly? I would be like, it represents happiness and being able to be free and all of this stuff. Like, I would say absolutely the most normal thing I could think of. And every time they would be like, yeah, this girl is really emotionally stable. But it isn't till like more now where I'm growing up and I am really healing that I have realized that as a child, I definitely had a mental health problem. And it wasn't a mental illness that I had, but I had trauma. And this was the trauma of being removed from my family, from my biological family, and my mother as a baby. When I was a kid and I first got removed from my mom and my biological family, the first thing I told myself was, I'm not hurt. I understand why she did this. She was a young mother. She didn't mean to hurt us, but she did what she felt was necessary. And as a child, even so young, my first thing was like, I'm gonna forgive her. Sorry. I really did not want to get to this point, and this is the most ugliest thing you could do at YouTube, but holy fuck. But yeah, I would literally be going through the most pain and I would be smiling because I didn't want to show anyone that I was hurt. But now growing up, I realized that I was going through so much pain and I was hurting so deeply that I was not able to show absolutely any emotions whatsoever. I was literally so guarded, and I would never ever show people my real feelings, to the point where I was just like a very like emotionless person, and it wasn't that I wasn't a nice person, it wasn't that I wasn't a happy person, it's just that I always had this facade up and I never told people like I'm hurting, like I'm upset, like I went through my whole life being like I'm a happy person and everything's all right, when in reality, I did need counseling. This is something that I should have been talking about. Like, this is something I wish I could have said, you know what, like, this really hurt. Like, the fact that this happened is truly fucked up, you know what I mean? And it was so hurtful to me. But as a child, like, I was not comfortable expressing emotions, and I was just like a cold, hardened person, which is not normal for a child. And that's why everyone thought I was so emotionally stable, because I would never get upset and I would never react to anything, and I always seemed happy, and like I wasn't affected by the fact that I was in foster care. Like, I seemed completely stable, and the fact that I was so highly functioning and still able to get good grades in school, and even though I did drugs and I drank and I partied, that was really normal. Like, I never acted out, I never got in fights, so it didn't show that this was a bad situation. But really, I was so hurt by what happened. Anyways, when I was in high school and I had to move schools, because I switched schools due to circumstances literally every single year. Not because I changed foster homes, but just because I had to change schools for whatever reason. And every year I went to a new school, and one year I had made really close friends with oh my god, my makeup, damn. I had made really close friends with the people who were at Sandalwood, and I ended up having to go to a school that was like full of white people. And even though I'll get into that story a little bit later, because that's another funny story, but even though I knew a few people at that school, I missed my old friends so much, because like I was projecting so much where my friends were like family to me, because I didn't have a family of my own. So I was projecting so much, and I held my friends in such high regard that being separated from them truly caused me to start feeling depressed. And when I say feeling depressed, I don't mean feeling sad. I meant that I would wake up in the morning and I would lie in bed and I would be like, I can't get up and go to school today because I don't have the motivation to leave my bed, That's how sad I was, right? And I went through that through a year till I started getting in arguments with my foster parents, and eventually left that foster home and went to a new foster home, which coincidentally was in the exact same neighborhood that was at Sandwood Heights. So I ended up returning to my old school that I went to and rejoining my friends. But yeah, that was the only time I had experienced an actual mental health problem. But when I was in university, I immediately started recognizing, you know what? I have depression. You know, it wasn't that it was kind of that I wasn't really motivated to do my work, but it was more the loneliness. I was extremely lonely. No one was talking to me. No one wanted to be my friend. And the crazy thing about that is a lot of people thought I was super cool, but at the same time, no one wanted to talk to me, you know? So I was very alone, and spending that much time alone literally made me so sad that I kind of just gave up on everything. Like, I was sad that I didn't even want to do my work. And it wasn't even that I didn't want to do my work, I was struggling keeping up with the university curriculum. It was way too hard for me. And I wasn't smart enough at that time, just coming out of high school, to keep up with what was required in university. And I had always considered myself a smart person, but when I went to university, I wasn't able to keep up with the curriculum. And on top of that, and being alone all the time, it just became a very bad experience for me. Now, you're probably wondering about my friend group and what it was like. I considered it a privilege in university that my small friend group that I had was a diverse friend group. There was literally someone from, like, who was white, black, Asian, and brown. So me and all my friends were different skin colors, and I really liked that because I don't really want to be stuck with people of one race. And I thought it was cool that we were one of the only groups of people that literally someone of every single race was hanging out with. So that was cool and everything, and I liked hanging out with them. There was one girl specifically who, she was white and she was kind of into rave culture. When I was in university, um everyone was really into EDM. This was the year that Yeezus came out, and Yeezus was really big in university. And I was a huge Kanye West fan at that time. So, like, everyone was listening to EDM kind of beats. Like, of course, hip hop was always like the move. Like, nothing can ever take away from hip hop culture and just how amazing it is. But just being around mostly white people, like, they kind of got me into EDM culture, which is why I have my song Finesse, which is like an EDM rap song. Because before that, I didn't really like EDM that much, but I listened to like a few EDM songs like Hey Brother and like Calvin Harris and all that, but they were really into EDM. And this girl had done quite a bit of drugs, like shrooms, I think, of course weed, and we started experimenting with drugs together. So this is a girl who introduced me to Molly for the very first time, MDMA, and E, or whatever you want to call it. I had known other girls through my life who had taken E in high school, usually white girls. No one in my little school, my little brown school in Sandwood Heights in Brampton, Ontario, did any hard drugs whatsoever. We just did weed and alcohol and maybe lean from time to time. I mean, a few kids had bragged about trying harder stuff, but I mean, no one was doing Molly. We'd never heard of that shit until we got to university. So this girl, we were going to a like banquet party, and we got all dressed up and we did Molly for the first time. Yo, we danced the fucking night away. We're all like, yo, be careful, don't drink too much water because we don't want to drown and shit. So we were just taking our little sips of water, even though we were thirsty as hell. We were dancing and getting so lit, and everyone was like trying to dance with us, and like, wow, these girls are having so much fun. Yes, we were feeling it. I was literally on cloud fucking nine. That is literally probably one of the happiest I've ever been, because I don't know, M is just a happy drug. It just makes you very happy and in high spirits. So I had a lot of fun experimenting with that drug a few times in university. Would not recommend anyone to try it, especially with the prevalence of fentanyl on the streets today. If you are doing drugs that you are getting from the streets and not from a trusted source, even if it is from a trusted source, you cannot trust that these people are not cutting or lacing your drugs with fentanyl at this point in time. It is not safe to try a new drug from a random source anymore. It probably wasn't even incredibly safe at that time. You know, the drugs could have been laced with other things, even though they didn't really feel like they were. But really be careful out there. Get a drug testing kit, test your drugs to see if they are laced with stronger or messier drugs that could trigger addiction in you. And yeah, they say the come down from Molly is really hard. Like, you have to eat a lot of fruits, drink a lot of water and stuff like that, because you'll be in a really bad mood. for the next few days after taking Molly. And I was kind of concerned about getting depressed after taking Molly, but I didn't have that hard of a come down. And I think it's because I had just freshly started doing that drug, so I wasn't really experiencing the withdrawals or the the bad sides, and I hadn't gotten to that frequent of use to be into to get that dip after using Molly. But I think if I used it a lot more frequently, I would probably experience feelings of like very low mood or depression after rolling, as they say. But yeah, that was probably one of my favorite parts of being university, just trying Molly at parties. um but yeah, I would kind of meet up with like my friends like maybe once a month for like major parties. We would like probably do some Molly. We got together and tried lean for the first time. We took I don't want to inspire anyone, but we took like cough pills, cough medicine, cut them open and like let them kind of like leak into Sprite. And I didn't really like it. Like I couldn't necessarily feel my body, and when I coughed, like I would be coughing but I couldn't really like feel the phlegm coming out of my throat. Like I would be coughing and I couldn't really feel it. So I felt like there was kind of a risk that you could stop breathing and stuff like that. Like it was kind of like a shitty feeling and it made your stomach hurt and your belly run. So I only tried that a few times and it wasn't that great, and I did it with weed and whatever, but yeah. And that's the kind of shit we were doing because we were like druggies. And yeah, but overall I was more concerned with like the social aspects of university, and keeping up with the program. It was super hard for me. Like not only did I feel so lonely and sad all the time and I was just isolated, and I know you guys may feel like that is not a big deal, people are alone all the time. Spending so much time alone is really not healthy, especially when there are other people around you who you could potentially hang out with and they just don't want to hang out with you. It feels shitty. And the loneliness really got to me, and I was really clueless. Like sometimes they wouldn't even tell you in class, this assignment's due this day, you have to look online for this assignment. They kind of like expected you to already be in touch with the interface and internet programs that they use. Go online, check when all your courses are, when all your projects are due, or when your exams are coming up. And I wasn't aware of all of this. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know that's what you're expected to do. So I just assumed they weren't giving us projects in the courses. Like no one really clued me in and told me, oh, you have to check for your projects online. You have to check for exams online. So when exams came up, I was like, what are exams? And like, when are they? Like I had no clue when my exams were. I went into them last minute, and due to the fact that I kind of got depression and I was so lonely, I spent most of my time like in bed sleeping, and I stopped going to my classes. So I wasn't in my classes to learn all of the things that were on the exams. So like at that point, like I didn't know anything from the course. So I couldn't answer any of the fucking questions. Not like in high school where I didn't go to classes and I miraculously would come to class and like know exactly what was on the test. Like no, like I had no fucking clue what was on any of the tests. It was like I'd never heard any of this information before. You know what I mean? So I failed all my fucking exams. Every last fucking exam. Um and yeah, I really didn't know anything about that. I didn't know how to go online. I didn't know where to pay for my program or where we were supposed to be sending money, but they had like an online program or an interface where you could where you could like pay your program. I didn't know about that, so I didn't know when we were expected to pay for our program. Like my thinking is that it automatically came from CAS and they would just pay them directly, or like because I was from CAS, like the amount that they said was supposed to be deducted from my tuition would automatically be deducted, and my tuition amount would be at zero. But I ended up like paying for a lot of random shit using my student like tuition card. Like I got the meal plan, of course. I ended up taking sailing classes and like learned a little bit about sailing, just a little bit, not much that I remember. I ended up taking belly dancing classes. Like, I was just doing extracurricular shit for the fuck of doing it. So I ended up taking some of those classes and like putting my textbooks on my tuition card and all of that. We are now at 1 hour, guys. Another long ass video. So yeah, um, that is what happened. Um, yeah, so that's really where my tuition went out the window, and I wasn't really sure how I was supposed to be paying for it or nothing like that. I just thought like it was free because that's what they told me when I went to school. They just said you don't have to pay tuition because you were in CAS. So yeah. So I ended up acquiring some debt from school. And of course I had to pay that back. It started getting automatically like taken out of my bank account every month when I ended up leaving school. So, because you have to pay back OSAP after like 6 months after completing college, and because I never went back to college, they started taking it out of my account. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I was doing in college. And yeah, I just could not keep up with the courses, with the fact that I would stop going to class because I was so lonely. I just stopped going to class. And the weird part about all this is like a lot of people kind of knew of me, I'm assuming, because when I was in college, I was at my friend's dorm and I was kind of hanging outside of the bathroom, probably just texting or rolling a joint or some shit. And I heard some girls in the bathroom saying, you know that famous girl, that small black girl who hangs out in dorm? And they named my friend's dorm. And I'm like, famous girl? Like, what the fuck are they talking about, right? But the only black girl who hung out in that dorm, really the only black, one of the, probably the only fucking black girls, like, I only saw like 2 black girls in my whole, like, I only met 2 black girls in my whole like year, my whole year, like in freshman year. I don't know how many black girls there were, but there weren't many, right? So they were kind of like describing me to a T, and they said famous girl. So I'm like, I don't know why they would say that. Like, I made YouTube videos in college too, but like, I don't know, it's just really weird. But I was kind of like, okay, that's interesting because no one talks to me and I'm always alone. So I'm not sure why they would say that, but whatever. Like, I've heard a few people whispering about me in college and shit like that. And when I was in college, you guys are really not gonna believe this. Britney Spears, and back when in Britney Spears' era, when she was young and going out with Justin Timberlake, she did wear that denim on denim outfit. I had never seen it, but I was familiar with denim on denim because it was something that people routinely said, do not wear denim with denim, right? But I was the kind of person who thought, who gives a fuck about fashion rules? I look good in whatever I wear. So I wanted to experiment and try a clothing that people said did not fit or did not work. So I did things like mixing metals. I would wear silver and gold together. I no longer do that, but I made it work, you know? I wear silver and gold together. I would mix pattern on pattern. Not in college, but a little while after, when I started working after college, I would wear like one pattern with another pattern. And that shit looked cute on me. It started with this polka dot outfit. I had this black and white polka dot shirt and I wore it with this like navy blue and white polka dot skirt. The polka dot shirt pattern was a little bit like further apart than the skirt, and it looked really cute together. It was just a cute outfit. But in college, not one person even spoke of the Canadian tuxedo or the jean on jean trend. It was not a fashion trend at that time. I was the first person. I wore a piece of a denim pants and a denim jean jacket together. They were really tight fitting and I wore them together, and my friend saw me and she was like, girl, you know they say you're not supposed to wear denim on denim. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, you look really good though. And I was like, oh, thanks. And after that, like, it was probably like maybe a year after, the denim on denim trend caught on all of a sudden again. And I was already rocking that trend from time. I was like the only person wearing that shit. So I just want to put you all on game saying, girl, I've been in denim on denim, girl. I was like, I was bossed up in that shit. But yeah, I just want to know. I just want you to know what I was doing in college. Yeah. So yeah, so that was pretty much my college experience. And even looking back at how like depressed I was, I would still describe that experience as being good, just because of the things that I learned, the little did that I did learn, getting the experience of being away from home, and dating people a little bit for the first time. Like, I met this like Korean guy in college he was all right. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but like, yeah, whatever. Like, just like meeting guys, because I didn't really meet a lot of guys in in um in high school. I mean, I did have like a high school boyfriend for a little while, and I had a few crushes, but I wasn't really hooking up with guys until college because I lost my virginity when I was 18. So just kind of like hanging out with guys a bit more. And like I said, I wasn't really an emotional girl before being 18 years old. I was very hard, so I wasn't the kind of person who was like really cutesy with guys and like all of that. I wasn't like that. And in college is the first time I started like not wearing like natural hairstyles as much. Like, I still wear my hair natural, but I would like flat iron it a bit more. I would like curl my hair a little bit more. My skin cleared up because I have the facial toner I was using. I had dark spots all through high school, and people considered me that like fat ugly girl with like bad skin and glasses. But in college I started wearing contact lenses more. This is the first time I had weave in my hair because I got my first pair of clip-in extensions. This is the first time I looked at myself and said, wow, like, I'm pretty, you know. That was the beginning of me looking at myself and being like, I'm a beautiful girl. So overall, and the food, I really enjoyed the meal plan. Like, I liked being able to go in at any time and get whatever food I wanted, whatever meal I needed, and all the snacks and everything that I could get on my meal plan. So overall, even though it ended on a negative note, I still think that experience was a good experience. But here's the thing that really made it so likely that I would not be successful in college. So I want you guys to understand the thing about people who are in children's aid society, who are in foster care. The majority of people, young people, youth, young women and young men, cannot make it in this world at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, maybe even up to the age of 25 with no family support. Family support is essential to your success in life. Being able to have someone to fall back in times of struggle, being able to have a mom or dad that you can stay with when you're not making a lot of money and you don't have a stable income, being able to have someone you can call and ask about things like, how do I register for my college courses? How do I find out when my classes are? How do I find out when my exams are? All of these kind of things are really essential to your success. Having a family you can go back home to on the holidays, having someone you can call and have a long talk with when you're in a bad mood. These are the things that really ensure your success in college, in university, and after graduating high school, and after aging out of care. And most people who are in children's aid society do not have that option. They do not have a support system in any way. So these children are just tossed out into the world with absolutely no resources and no way of getting by. The majority of people who are in foster care do not attend college. They do not attend university. The majority of people who are in foster care actually end up joining the homeless or the mental ill population. And that is the fate for the majority of people who end up in foster care. It doesn't create a a stepping stone towards like a dignified way of living, especially being on your own at such a young age. After 21, you stop receiving that $1,000 per month for your rent. You have to get your own job. You have to figure out how to make it work at the age of 21, all by yourself. And the majority of people after that point end up in the homeless shelters after foster care, or they end up struggling with some sort of mental illness and end up being hospitalized. And that is what happens to a lot of foster children. It is not a good fate for most foster children. And the fact that I even made it into college and university, the fact that I even graduated high school, the fact that I even got into good grades in high school is, and the fact that I didn't struggle even throughout elementary school with all the trauma and the um family issues that I was experiencing at home, and even just not being told every day, I love you, you know, never being told I love you, never getting hugs, never getting kisses, you know, these kind of things. Like, it is truly rare and it is truly exceptional. And I really want to stress that the fact that I even ended up making it to university or college, you know? And so the fact that I didn't graduate, it's not something that I press myself about every single day, because I know I did what I could do with the tools that I had. And I tried, you know. I know I got far for the situation I was in. I know I could have hustled, and if I had really understood the realities of the life that faces people in foster care, the fact that I was more than likely to end up being homeless in my life, I would have probably been so shit scared that I would have studied a lot fucking harder. But I didn't think it would be as hard for me to be an adult as it ended up being, and the experiences that I ended up having as an adult, which were truly fucked up. I had a rough start to adulthood, and in many ways I am still struggling. So like, if I had known that, I probably would have approached the whole school experience completely differently. But yeah, not having a family support system was the main factor that contributed to the fact that I ended up dropping out of college. And it started with none of my family going to my high school graduation. Now, my only family, the only person I considered my blood relative, my blood family, who I had a bond that was close enough to be considered a bond that you would have with a family, like a bond with a mother or a close sibling, was with my sister, who I spent most of my life living with in foster care, because they tried never to separate us in foster homes and to always have us live in the same place, as that was the only family I had. Me and her had an extremely close bond, mostly based on the fact that even though I was a really smart person, I struggled with a lot of basic tasks, like plugging in an HDMI cord, doing my hair and flat ironing my hair and taking care of my hair. That was a struggle for me. Simple tasks like that were not something that I could do effectively, and they were something that my sister was really talented at. She wanted to do hair for a while, so she was practicing doing hair and all of that stuff. So she, even as a kid, she would take care of my hair. She would help me with the little things that I couldn't do, because I was the baby sister at that time. I was the little kid. And I really started looking up to her as a mother figure, and as someone, the both of us not being raised with having a mother or anything like that, she took on a lot of responsibility for me being the eldest sibling. And I know she really grew to resent me. I just didn't really know the extent to which she resented me. Like, I could get deeper into this, but I really don't want to explain just why she may have ended up resenting me as we grew up. But regardless of how she felt about me, she was like a mother to me. She was someone that I considered to be almost like my mom, because more or less she raised me in many ways. She was the person I looked up to. You know, this is very personal, but when she ended up getting her time of the month as a kid, I literally got my time of the month like 1 week after. Like, I followed in her footsteps in every single way. And I really looked up to her. and we would call each other when we were in university, but it had me really fucked up that I wasn't able to see her or talk to her very often. Being so far away from someone that I had considered myself so close to really like tore my heart apart. I was feeling it very deeply, and that really strongly contributed to the depression that I was feeling. And one of the main things was that I was calling her and she was really, really struggling. Like, I was in university, I was in college, and she was literally taking care of my dog that I had when I was in foster care, that me and my foster mom went and got together. And at the last minute, she said, when you move out, you have to take this dog. I'm not taking care of it. So that was considered my dog. She was like, this is your dog. You have to take care of it. And so my sister ended up taking on that dog. And she was literally living in people's like garages at that time. She was sleeping in someone's garage, and literally I would be on the phone in tears because I always had this vision, like I always thought I was gonna be so successful in life. I thought I was gonna have my own business. I thought by the time I was like 21 I would be like a millionaire, living really good, living in like a like luxury condo by the time I was 21. I thought I would be living with my sisters. I thought I would be so rich and so successful. I would be able to take care of everyone. So the fact that she was struggling was just such a culture shock for me. It was so different than the vision I thought we would have after 18. I thought we would be so successful, and the fact that it just didn't play out like that. Like, I felt helpless. I felt heartbroken, you know? Like, I felt really fucked up that she was struggling so much, and there was really like absolutely nothing I could do, and I was completely powerless in that situation. And hearing the situation that she was in was really breaking my fucking heart. And thankfully today she's actually got on her feet, and it's possible. Like, after being in your early 20s, you're gonna struggle a lot. Like, some people are really successful in their early 20s, but you're gonna struggle when you first start out. And you know, like, it takes time to be able to support yourself and learn and be wise enough to take care of yourself. And yeah, her life has really changed, but my heart was broken. Like, my heart was literally broken. And so, like, literally I would be in school, like literally in tears, like literally in tears. And you know, like, it really hurt me. So I couldn't do school. Like, I just wasn't there for school. And yeah, honestly guys, I'm really sorry I'm crying, but this is just how this played out. um and you know, me and her don't talk, but it's the fact that growing up together, we have so many core memories, so many deep core memories that, like, to this day, there's always still going to be a piece of my heart that is attached to her. That attachment hasn't broken even as I've grown up, just because of the bond that was created at a time when my brain was developing. Like, it's really hard for me to forget about her. I've really moved on past her. I don't speak to her anymore. And if you guys ever figure out who she is, like, please don't reach out to her. Please don't talk to her about me. Don't leave comments. Don't try to get us to talk to each other again if you feel motivated to do that, because I have moved past the point where I want to speak to her in my life, and I'm sure she's moved past the point where she wants to speak to me. But just because of the fact that this bond was formed at such an early stage in formation, I will always have a piece of my heart that feels very strongly for her. And I can't say that about a lot of people, because my mom wasn't in my life, my dad wasn't in my life, and no one was in my life. None of my family members were in my life. So the way most people feel about their families, the way most people feel about their moms and dads, I really literally cannot relate to that. Like, I have no concept of that whatsoever. I have no idea how they feel, you know, because I've never felt that close to somebody. So yeah, um basically that's what happened. And I also miss my dog, you know. So being so far away from them like was really, really breaking my heart, and I just could not do school. I did not want to do school. Like, I had truly just like checked out in completely every way possible. On top of that, like being ditched by my friends and being alone all the time, like it was a really, 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 really big struggle for me. And I'm surprised, being someone who was in foster care, I even made it that far. So by the end of the year, I never got my transcript. My grades were like at 0% or like 25%. You know, I don't know how they score grades in university, but I had flunking grades where I wouldn't even get into the program next year, you know what I mean? So like I completely failed. And at the end of the year, my social worker met up with me and we went out for a dinner close to the school, and I told her, I didn't want to tell her how badly I failed in school. I told her, I want to drop out of college because I want to pursue, and this was even a bigger point, because I realized that I did not want to have, even though I was really passionate about becoming a lawyer, I didn't want to have a college degree. I didn't want to have a job that required a bachelor's degree, like, or even like a master's degree or anything like that. I told her, you know, I don't want to be in college because I want to rap. Like, I know that sounds so stupid, but like, I'm like, I don't want to be in college because I want to rap and I want to like be on TV and like get into acting and modeling and all this shit. And like, I know that sounds so stupid, but like, honestly, I did not want to do college at all. And I was like, yeah, I want to do like something. I want to do something like that. Like, I want to be in the entertainment industry, and like, I want to try that. I want to like follow my dreams and shit like that. And she was like, you know, girl, like, if you don't like finish college, you're gonna end up living in like a rooming house, and like, you're gonna have so many roommates, and that's what happens to people who do the arts, and like, you're not gonna get anywhere in life, and you shouldn't leave college. But at that point, I had like literally no options. You know, I didn't have a choice. Like, I couldn't do that. And at that point, I decided I was gonna try to do different things. So I ended up telling her that, and I never went back to college. There was someone who I literally met, and like, I wrote a huge ass letter to them about like all my dreams of like graduating university, and they gave me like a whole like scholarship towards school. And like, I felt so bad that like in the end, like, I wouldn't be able to like do any of that, you know what I mean? And like, after I dropped out of college, I went back to Brampton. I started living back in that bachelor's apartment. I had no job experience. I didn't know what I was gonna do for work. So I got a job as a club promoter, and I was failing so hard at that. And it was really hard for me to get people to come to the club, because like, I would just invite friends that I had on Facebook and try to get them to come to the booth that we had and everything like that. And it went okay. Like, I got maybe like a few people, but I wasn't successful at that in any way. I tried throwing parties and like no one came, you know. And like, I tried doing entrepreneurship and all of those kind of things. I did like, I started organizing concerts, and like, I fucked up so much. Like, at one point I forgot to take the money at the door, and I felt so bad for the people who were like there performing, because they were supposed to get that money after their performance and shit like that. And like, I just felt so stupid. Like, I was really struggling so much, and like, being 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, like, I had no job experience, and I was literally so like I was literally so ignorant in every way. And so I was really, really, really struggling. And then I started doing jobs handing out flyers and shit like that, and getting little money doing that way. And like, and throughout all this point, I had no friends. I was so lonely. Like, no one would talk to me whatsoever. Like, I was like literally an outcast, because like, everyone was like focused on getting their life together, and I was there like trying to hustle and shit like that, and taking any opportunity I could or whatever. So yeah, I was doing like street promotions, and then I got into being a brand ambassador, which was cool because I got to meet like a lot of interesting people and like go to a lot of interesting events and stuff like that. But like, it wasn't like a career in any way, shape, or form. And starting out was a huge struggle for me, and I'm still struggling. I'm trying every single day, and I took a really long break from doing music, from doing anything like that, from working. And to be honest, like, that break that I took during COVID completely changed my brain. It changed my brain, like, completely, because I went from looking at things in a certain way where it wasn't helping, to being able to like sort through problems and problem solve a lot more efficiently. So like, just the level of maturity between the ages of 25 to the ages of 27 and 28, like, completely changed me as a person. Like, if I was doing those same jobs at this age, I probably wouldn't have made so many mistakes as I did when I was like in my early 20s. And I wouldn't have done so many of the stupid things that I did in my early 20s, like trying to like hook up with like, anyways, I made a video about that shit, but you guys already know that story. But some of the ways that I risked my life and my security in my early 20s, like, it's so different. I wouldn't have done those things now. I would have thought of things from a way more responsible and normal and practical point. But I'm still trying to like make it. I'm still trying to get a stable career. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with myself, but I think I know what I want to do. I think I know how I'm going to accomplish it, and I think I know what my vision is. And I think if I had more opportunities today, I would know how to do so much better and make the most out of them, in comparison to when I was young and very immature and very drama focused, instead of just focusing on my dreams and the jobs that I had to do. And also, um what was I gonna say? After all of that is said and done, and now coming to think of it, I was not motivated enough in school. I did not have grades high enough to have pursued a university program. And this is really the moral of the story that I want to tell you. It would have been better for me to take maybe a year or two before going to college to really explore what I wanted to do with my life, to explore my dreams, to maybe get some job experience, to really figure out who I was and what I wanted to do, to really figure out what life was like. But jumping into university at the age of 18 was not the right decision for me, because I was not prepared for it emotionally, mentally, financially, or in any way possible. And really, in hindsight, I probably would have been more successful had I decided to pursue a college degree, like maybe being a paralegal or a legal assistant. Something like that I could have probably done really well in, and been able to get a stable job in the future. Um, so probably that was a lot better for me, but instead I wanted to go to university because I felt like that was what everyone else was doing and that's what I had to do. But really, I should have probably considered another route like college, which would have been a way more simpler course load and a different type of teaching style than university. And also on top of that, even besides just doing college and university, yeah, like, that's probably just something that I would have considered. Like, maybe not jumping into college right away and just taking some time, and also maybe like just trying college instead of university, or something that's a little bit easier for me, because I just wasn't prepared to do university. And after all this said and done, I did end up getting my diploma through the Ontario Works program. They actually have some courses, some like diploma programs that you can take for certain trades, and for um some courses such as like medical administration, medical office administration, office administration, personal support worker, like stuff like that. You can take a course through them, and you can learn the skills that you need to get like some job skills and a career. And they help you to get placements, and they help you to start your career, and they help you to get clothes that you need for work, and all of those things. And yes, I still wasn't the best employee when I first started doing office administration, but I did end up getting my diploma in office administration. I got incredible grades in that course, and I learned a lot of great skills like how to use Excel efficiently, how to use QuickBooks, and you know, doing things, tasks around the office, working a phone system, working the fax machine, all of those things that you need. I ended up learning those skills that I still use today, even in running my business. www.bundleshair.ca/shop-bundles. Shout out to Bundles. I use those skills all the time, and they're very practical skills. So in the end, I did end up getting my college diploma at the age of, I believe, 25, and I'm really proud. And I did have my graduation ceremony at college, and again, not one person came to see me graduate from college. And it was community college, but I'm still so proud. And yeah, I struggled with a lot of feisty women and a lot of competition in college too when I started getting my office administration diploma, but I stuck with it, and it was a lot easier, it was a lot straightforward, it was something that I could understand, and it was something I was passionate about and something I already did want to do as a career, because it's something I thought I would be good at because of just how like organized I am and how good I am at processing information, and how much I love helping people and communicating with people, and my experience as a brand ambassador and being like the face or the first person that customers interact with. I just thought like this would be the job for me, and I really have so far mostly enjoyed every job that I've done in office administration, even though I have faced a little bit of adversity. Anyways, but that is my story. I dropped out of college and I regretted it. Thank you guys so much for watching my story. I hope you guys did not mind the tears. Thank you, and please, as always, comment, like, subscribe, share, leave your comments, let me know what you think, and we will be discussing so many more things. All of the people who have spoken to me, the people I consider my Fantasias, have like left me suggestions for videos that they want to hear, and I'm definitely gonna get on that, and there will be so many more story times because that is my most requested content. Story times. People love my long sit down videos like this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this today, and anyways, thank you guys for watching, and it's all love here.